So, when Father Petticord asked me to give this commencement speech, I freaked out. I was like, what? But I was always in jug for talking in the hallway and being late to class. What am I gonna tell those bright, shining minds? And then I realized that you guys just want the ceremony to be over as quickly as possible so you can move out of the house and have freedom! So, I decided that I'll just share some stories that I've learned along the way before you guys go out and take over the world. Number one, create the change you want to see. I was part of the first class of girls at Fenwick. I went to Fenwick when there were 100 girls and 800 boys. All the seniors were boys. All the juniors were boys. All the sophomores were boys. Half the freshmen were boys. And everyone said, oh, you girls must have loved it, getting all that attention from those handsome fellas. No. They hated us. Us girls were breaking 63 years of Fenwick tradition. Remember Miss Kerher and Mrs. Esposito? They know. Since 1929, you guys, Fenwick was all boys. For 6 decades, Fenwick was all boys. And now chicks were allowed? The guys were like, why? The upperclassmen said, oh man, now we gotta shower, we can't just fart whenever we want. Oh, they're like, now I gotta put gel in my hair. Oh man, they painted the chapel pink. Oh, this is gonna suck. I mean, they eventually came around and us freshman girls ended up going to 4 proms a year. But our Fenwick freshman experience wasn't the most welcoming environment for us 13-year-old girls. Yet, that initial resistance made us chicks strong. It forced us chicks to become trailblazers. We were the first girls at Fenwick ever. So we had to start things. We founded clubs. We started sports teams. We created events. The girls' swimming and water polo teams were exceptional and planted seeds for future state championships. By the way, shout out to the girls' hockey team and the academics teams for winning state and being 5th in the world. My friend Fran, who is still one of my best friends to this day, was the first girl to ever get a varsity letter at Fenwick because she was the only girl on the entire varsity tennis team. I was one of the first girls in our Optimist Speech Club, thanks to Mr. Arellano, or Arellano, as it's pronounced correctly, who helped me overcome my fear of speaking in public. So thank you. I was a dancer, and there was no Pom Squad, so I started and founded the Pom Squad. I proceeded to get kicked off the Pom Squad because I hiked my skirt up too high, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, we had to create stuff that wasn't there before. Create the change you want to see. If it doesn't exist, start it, found it, create it. Number 2, trust you will figure it out. After I graduated Fenwick, I studied economics, journalism, and French at Northwestern. And when I graduated Northwestern, I moved to New York. And I was broke. And when I say broke, I mean I lived in a closet and had to put a shower curtain up for privacy, broke. In fact, my room was so small, I couldn't even extend my arms all the way out. I remember it wasn't really a room, it was just more like a nook. And I could only do this. My room was the size of a cell, but I had freedom. I cut myself off from my parents when I graduated because, as my best friend says, if you're not paying for it, you're paying for it. And I figured it out. I lived with 4 roommates, a bunch of rats, in a sketchy neighborhood, but I ate street food, I volunteered to usher plays so I can see them for free, I ate canned foods, and I hit every single happy hour. I was broke, but I was living in New York City like I always wanted to do. I was adulting. I figured it out. Trust you will figure it out. Number 3, do what you love. Now, even though I was having a blast in New York, I had my dad's voice in my head. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. In New York, I was a mutual fund analyst for an investment survey company. The job was as boring as it sounds. So I quit because I wasn't doing what I loved. I packed up my things and moved to LA with 0 prospects, but I knew that I would be risking it all to do what I loved. Number 4, never give up. When I first got to LA, I knew that if I wanted to be an actor, the first thing I needed was to find an agent. So I walked into an agency blindly, and I told the secretary, "Hi, excuse me, could you tell him Aimee Garcia's here?" And she picks up the phone and she says, "Aimee Garcia's here." Then she says, "Go right on up." And I was like, pfft. And they say it's hard to find an agent in Hollywood. I get in the elevator, the doors open, the smiling agents look in, and they say, "Oh, we thought they said Andy Garcia." The elevator doors close and I get sent back down to the street. I walked the streets of Beverly Hills, a little embarrassed, but I didn't give up. I went home and wrote a bunch of postcards saying, "Hey, it's Aimee G. I just landed in town. I'm Mexican and Puerto Rican and I'm ready to rumble." I sent out 200 postcards. I was like, this is totally gonna work. It totally didn't work, you guys. I got no responses, but I didn't give up. I stayed in LA teaching SAT prep. A month later, I get a call from a casting director and she says, "Is this Aimee G, the Mexican Puerto Rican who's ready to rumble?" And I said, "Why, yes it is." She said, "I got your postcard." She called me in for an audition, and I got a small part in my first movie with Jennifer Aniston. Never give up, even if you don't see results right away. Years later, after I had done a couple of TV shows, I didn't get 17 auditions in a row. That's like going to 17 different job interviews and not getting any of them. I was crushed. I flew home to Chicago to regroup, and I remember lying in bed with my mom, super bummed, my spirit completely broken, and I said, "Mom, I want to quit. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep giving it my all, putting my heart on the line, and getting rejected. They keep saying I'm great, but I don't get the job." Albert Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I asked my mom, "Am I insane?" And my mom looked at me and she said, "Do you know, Aimee," she has a thick Mexican accent. She's like, "Do you know, Aimee, you can quit, but if you quit, no one will get to see what you do. No one will get to see your gift." And that right there was the moment and the motivation that I needed to rise like the phoenix, stop feeling sorry for myself, and get back on a plane to LA and try again. After 17 failed auditions, I got the 18th audition. Dexter, never give up. Number 5, fail, fail, and fail again. Every successful person has failed. Think of professional baseball players. A Major League Baseball player who gets a hit just 30% of the time is still considered one of the best. So as an actor, if I miss or don't get a job 70% of the time, I am still considered a successful actor. So if you don't get the first however many job interviews, keep going. My acting coach always says, the most talented people don't get the jobs. It's the persistent ones who fail and get back up who do. Fail, fail, and fail again. Number 6, walk through your fear. So a couple of years ago, the Dodgers, because I live in LA now, asked me to sing the national anthem. My initial response was, no, I'm a Cubs fan. And I don't sing. But my girlfriend Molly from Fenwick, who's still one of my best friends to this day, said, "You're always telling us to walk through our fear. Does this scare you?" And I said, singing in front of 50,000 people when I don't sing, yeah, it terrifies me. And she said, "Great. So face your fear and walk through it like you're always telling us to do." She called me out, and she was absolutely right. So I told the Dodgers, yes, I will sing the national anthem. I got a voice coach, I trained for a month, and I did it. Now, I was not Ariana Grande doing vocal runs all like, like this, okay? I did not get a record deal. In fact, some people's comments on YouTube were like, she's not that good. While other people would defend me and be like, you try singing in front of 50,000 people. The point is, I did not, and I repeat, I did not bring the house down. But I walked through my fear and I did it. I sang a cappella in front of 50,000 people without passing out, and it was a confidence booster for trying the next thing that scared me. Walk through your fear. Number 7, no regrets. People always ask me, Aimee, you're always running around, you're on Lucifer, you're doing movies, you're writing comic books, you're directing charity videos, you're traveling, you're always posting dance videos on your Instagram, hanging out with family and friends. You really do live life to the fullest. What motivates you? And I tell them, mortality. We all gonna die. Now, I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but I almost died when I was 4 years old. I was in intensive care at Children's Hospital for a week, and my survival was touch and go there for a minute. I had pneumonia, and I couldn't breathe on my own, so I had to rely on a breathing machine and have tubes up my nose. I was only 4 years old, but I remember how uncomfortable those tubes were. I remember my family by my side the whole time. But the little girl next to me, who had pneumonia as well, never got any visitors. So my dad would rock her to sleep because he felt so bad that no family ever came to see her. She didn't make it. That day, at the ripe young age of 4, I learned that tomorrow is not guaranteed. Time is our most precious resource. It's the only thing we cannot make more of. Someone gives you $1,000, you wouldn't just rip it up. But someone gives you 1,000 minutes, we waste them constantly. So no regrets. If you want to write, write. If you want to travel to Argentina, do it. If you want to live in New York and be broke, do it. If you want to start a company, do it. Because eventually we are all going to be on our deathbeds. And I don't want anyone here thinking, I really should have tried to start that business. I really should have tried to invent that app. I want us all to be like, yep, I gave life my all. Sayonara. No regrets. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Number 8, stick to your morals. In Hollywood, no one really has any integrity. No one cares if you sleep around, do a bunch of drugs, or yell at people for no reason. In fact, sometimes it seems like if you do all those things, you'll get rewarded. So I always felt like an island, sticking to the morals that my parents and Fenwick ingrained in me. My morals were really tested when I was a young, up-and-coming actress, and Showtime asked me to do full frontal nudity for my role on Dexter. I was in an office with big executives and producers pressuring me to get fully naked, and I said, no, I don't feel comfortable with that. I walked out of there knowing that I might get fired. But instead of getting fired, I got promoted, and they made my character full-time. Stick to your morals. Do you. No matter what kind of pressure you get from any boss, friend, or colleagues, stick to your morals. Your morals define you, and people actually end up respecting you for it. Number 9, be kind. My dad always taught me, treat the plumber like you treat the president. My parents and Fenwick always taught me to be kind. We're all in this together, people, so let's be good to each other. You're all smart, hardworking adults, so you're all going to go out and do amazing things. But leave the world better than you found it. And I don't mean you have to start charities or go to Guatemala and build schools. I mean, that's all great. But I just mean be kind. Open the door for someone. Say thank you. Let someone into your lane when you're driving. Help an older lady with her groceries. In fact, I was just in the bathroom and I heard some girls say to someone else, I love your shoes. And she was like, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I was so proud, and I thought, girls being really wonderful and supportive to girls, so bravo. That will go a really long way and have an exponential positive effect. One of my favorite quotes is Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. Last one. Number 10, don't let anyone dim your light. Shine, shine, shine brightly. If someone around you is draining your spirit or not encouraging you to fly, put your energy elsewhere. Life is too short, you guys. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, support you, and inspire you. Do not let anyone dim your light. Shine, shine, shine brightly. Well, those are the stories that I wanted to share with you. Trust that you have everything you need to lead a fulfilling life, and go do your thing, class of 2019. Congratulations to the graduating class of 2019. Go Fire.